watching, or listening
to A to the K.
The A to the K.
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 These guys are awesome. Check it out.
Check it out. Change your life. You'll be thanking me later.
So it's that time. It's that time in the podcast, Carl. You know what time it is. Time for This Week in Wrestling.
Oh, yeah. And I think I will kick off with Raw because, oh, yes, it's Legends Night and the feeling's right. Oh, yes, it's Legends Night. Oh, it was so shite. It was awful. Yeah, it's real bad.
Yeah, I mean, the question on everyone's mind, Carl, is Raw, what is it good for?
I like it. Absolutely nothing. So, yeah, the match card, Anthony, the match card itself. So it was Legends Night, but really it wasn't. That was just a gimmick to get us to watch it because it was awful. So we had the New Day taking on Miz and Morrison because that makes perfect sense now that the Miz has just got his Money in the Bank back to put him
Of course,
in a
but yeah, because he just gets to walk around with his case again now.
Yeah, perfect. And to make it even better, New Day won. So Miz is back to his losing ways again. We had AJ Styles taking on Elias again, with AJ picking up the win. Again.
Sure.
We had Charlotte teaming up with Asuka to take on the Icon. Oh, wait, no, not the Iconics. Peyton Royce and Lacey Evans, because that makes sense, doesn't it? Like, it has done every week. Do you know what makes more sense? Peyton Royce and Lacey Evans winning, because they did. So, yeah, Charlotte and Asuka lose. So, great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Titles on the line? Probably not.
No, of course not. But yeah, shenanigans, of course. Always
shenanigans.
We had Riddle taking on Mr. Lashley with Riddle getting the win, although shenanigans. We had Dana Brooke taking on Shayna Baszler, the match everybody wanted to see. Oh, sorry, typo. Nobody wanted to see. And Dana Brooke won, so of course she did.
Okay.
Why wouldn't she? Why
not? Let's try some things.
We had Randy Orton taking on Jeff Hardy for some reason, and Randy Orton won.
Yeah, why?
We
I know why. Because of what happens at the end of the show. Like he had nothing to do. Okay.
Yeah, of course. We had Cedric and Shelton from the Hit Business taking on Lucha House Party, and Lucha House Party won. It's a night of shocks, Anthony. Shocks everywhere.
Fuck everyone.
R-Truth won back the 24/7 title for the 87,000th time.
Oh, and this just in. R-Truth lost the 24/7 title. No, he's won it again.
Oh, thank God for that.
That was a scary couple of seconds there, guys.
We should just do that throughout the show every week. Just have random updates from R-Truth losing and winning.
Just leave a little counter in the corner.
That might make a little bit more sense for a 24/7 title then. Not like the way WWE actually books it. Yeah. Then in the main event, Anthony, we got to see Drew McIntyre take on Keith Lee for the WWE title after Keith Lee won the number one contenders opportunity last week. But Mr. McIntyre retained. So that was the card. Highlights, this won't take long. So the main event was a banger. It was a great match. I think we knew it was going to be. These guys.
I don't know. I got a little bit nervous about it because we've seen them have a bit of a half feud before, and it was a bit piss poor. I was kind of worried about this one, but it was a really good match, to be fair to them.
Yeah, it's one of them. I think they've had a couple of matches now, haven't they, where on paper it should have worked, and it's been a bit average, shall we say.
You remember that one? It wasn't a match, but like when they had a brawl backstage, and it was stemmed from like, he's like, "Don't touch me." And he's like, "Are you telling me?" Touch you? And you're like, what the fuck is this?
That was horrendous.
That's some of the booking they've done with these two. So yeah, I wasn't. I was cautiously optimistic, let's say.
Yeah, I think you're right. To be fair, I was probably too. I probably wasn't cautious enough, shall we say? But yeah, it turned out to be good. So fair play, good effort from all of them, and it definitely wasn't an average showing like some of their previous stuff may have been. So ticks all around for that. And the only other highlight is when Teddy Long came out. He did his amazing catchphrase of saying to Miz and Morrison, "I know what we're gonna do. You're gonna face The Undertaker. Adam Pearce had to come out and be like, no, he's retired. It's like, oh, okay. Well, then you can face the New Day. It was that was the cameo appearance for me of Legends Night. That was the best.
Thing is, like, and I mean no disrespect to anyone who turned up for Legends Night, but this wasn't as stacked as I think they probably were pretending it was gonna be.
Oh my, right! It was a fucking farce, Anthony. Right? We'll swiftly move into the O'Shites.
Let's move into the O'Shites.
The whole thing was a farce. Legends Night is a load of bullshit. It was so thrown together, it didn't make any sense whatsoever.
This was right. The annoying thing is, I know what WWE have done here. They don't care about whether we were happy with it or not. They care about drawing us in.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, we're gonna have a Legends Night so we can get the ratings up. So everyone tunes in to see their favorites from when they were kids, and then they've got you, and they're like, "Ah, fuck you guys."
Yeah, basically, exactly what happened. And
them numbers must have went throughout the night because fuck.
Like, yeah, they must have done. Every time they've had a Legends show before, I've always been like, yeah, this is going to be good. We're going to get to see some pretty decent, old school people that I really like.
I don't know if they strictly called it a Legends Night, but do you remember that one they did and they used all the retro WWF logos and stuff? Or retro WWE logos and stuff. That was awesome. They should have done something similar to that. Well, obviously didn't care. They just wanted to make money.
Yeah, basically. No effort went into it whatsoever. They advertised shitloads of people. Some of them didn't even show up. So, Carlito didn't show up.
I talked about this before we went on the air with Carl, but by all accounts, this wasn't even the fault of the Stars. Not like the Stars fucked them about. This was WWE announcing people before they'd actually booked them, which is just shocking behavior.
It is shocking. So Carlito didn't show. I don't think Candice Michelle made an appearance either. And then there was people who did, show up, but they didn't have any segments. They had no part of the show at all, really.
Yeah, they were just there.
For the main event, they just sat on the stage and watched the match. And it was like, what the fuck is this shit? So yeah, awful, right? Speaking of awful, here's how the show opened, Anthony. Some people say Vince McMahon's out of touch and he doesn't know what funny is and all that kind of stuff. The show opened with the H phone, not an iPhone. It's better than an iPhone. It's a H phone, even though it's a letter previous. But forget that. And it's Hulk Hogan. And Hulk's got a H phone, and he starts chatting some shit around. You can tweet on it, and you can Instagram on it, and you can. What? What? What was that? What was that? Right? That's how we opened.
I'm admittedly though. Like an iPhone with some sort of replacement of Siri with Hulk Hogan would be pretty awesome.
I mean, yeah, that would make sense, to be fair.
It's just there ready to listen to you. Like, what you gonna do? It's like, open Instagram, please.
Hey Siri, what time is it? Well, let me tell you something, brother. It's 10:30, dude.
It's like, Hogan, what's on my reminders? Say your prayers, take your vitamins. It's like, okay, thank you.
Oh, okay. Honestly, you can make some money with this, guys. And, they listen to this show, let's be honest. We'll come on to this as well, probably at some point. But they've ripped off me fucking me theme music for me, Roland Rumble.
Didn't even rip off the theme.
They've ripped off our bloody on new rebrands. We've gone for
our style.
Royal Rumble's now comic book. Like, dudes, come on, so blatant. So blatant. So yeah, when the new voice assistant fucking...
I'm surprised they could even be arsed removing our logos.
Yeah, shocking.
Kidding.
Nice little throwback there. I like it. But yeah, so Anthony, the whole thing was shit. It started shit. We had this weird thing with Randy Orton in the background as well, just going around bullying people all night.
He's in his elements. Legends Night. He fucking hates legends. He kills them.
Yeah, he just goes around and was just like, you're a legend. I'm a legend killer. And they're like, okay, Randy. And nothing happens. And then he just did that for about 4 or 5
years. I would have actually enjoyed Raw more, right, if they were like, it's Legends Night, it's going to be great. And then Raw opens with Randy coming out to the ring going, no one's coming. And you're like, and then he's just got his
little high fucking thingy goggles on again, and we just cut to the backstage.
We don't see a single legend because Randy just got rid of them all.
He like that'd
sell. Yeah,
in the dark, and then burnt them alive because that's what he does now.
That's what he does now. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, I keep digressing. So the H phone, yeah.
Yes, we had the H phone kicking off the show. We had all,
and obviously the terrifying thought that Hulk Hogan might be on TikTok.
Imagine. We had, Mark Henry just on a little scooter for some reason, and then we only later found out that he hurt his foot, but that just wasn't apparent at all throughout the whole segment. It was just like as though he goes around on a scooter. So that happened.
Yeah.
Alicia Fox was there talking about TikTok too, Anthony, for some reason. And she was like, "Do you not follow such and such?" And Garza was like, "No." I was like, "Oh, what do you know anyway?" And walked off. And it's like, okay.
No, you hate it when they're like middle-aged and they're trying to be down with the kids and talk about things like TikTok. They don't understand. They're not cool like us.
Yeah. Meanwhile, subscribe on TikTok got over 5,500 followers now, guys. Is it followers on TikTok? So are they talkers? Are they? I like it. That's how old we are. Straight to the same page. Right. So that was awful. The next shite, Anthony, is more shit with Ric Flair and Charlotte Flair, right?
Oh,
isn't she back as a face now? She's meant to be back as a face, right?
She was meant to be back as a face. I still maintain she was a bit of a cunt with Asuka though.
Well, that's just there though, isn't it? She can't play a face.
Even when she's a good guy, she's not.
That's just there, just not even in character. But like again, she makes a dad cry. So a dad is like on the outside. Lace.
The fact that you have to say again,
I know,
really pisses me off.
All Ric Flair does now is comes back and cries. He's either crying to Randy Orton, he's crying about Charlotte. It's just an old man who cries, and it's heartbreaking to see. Really.
I feel like this is kind of similar to the whole Droz thing, where like he said to Vince, "I can cry on cue," and Vince is like, "Show me."
He's gonna cry. He's gonna cry. He's woo! Oh, come on.
Or he's just become a really sensitive old man.
Well, yeah. I mean, it could be that. To be fair, he just lost all his fucking self-restraint.
Like, "Oh, I'm sorry, Rick. They didn't have the coffee you wanted," and it's just like, Jesus.
Yeah. But yeah, so basically, he's I didn't list it as a highlight, but I thought Lacey was fantastic. Constantly going over to Ric Flair and just being like, trying to not like seduce him or anything, but just trying to get in his head and being like a bit flirty with him.
Well, can I just talk about a social media game as well when she referred to herself as Charlotte's stepmom?
Yeah, exactly. She's fantastic.
She's a belter.
But yeah, so all that was fine. But then Rick's on the outside doing his Rick thing, and he doesn't look properly. And
doing his Rick things like
pretty much the Rick thing. That's his own thing. And he thinks he's going to trip Lacey or something, but he's not looking. He accidentally trips Charlotte, and she's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And the next minute, she gets rolled up and pinned. So she basically says, "Stay out of my business." And he's like, and she goes, "And they haven't got your coffee." And then he really cries. And then it's really bad.
Where will I go? What will I do? What annoys me more is they've done this before. Did he accidentally kiss somebody or whatever and really piss her off once before? Like they're rehashing a storyline that's already happened.
Well, exactly. That's what I mean. It happens all the time. So that was shit. WWE don't do it. So New Day come out and they're like, maybe instead of New Day Rocks, we should have our own show. That's New Day Talks. No, just don't.
And honestly, since you guys moved to Raw, I want to hear you talk a lot less.
I just don't want to. I don't want to hear any more talk shows.
They had the best mic skills though, even when they cut a promo. Now it's awkward and clunky. What happened?
It turns out that Big E on his own can't do it. It turns out them two on their own can't do it. It's just them three.
It's almost like it was a mistake splitting up a really popular faction.
Yeah, luckily it's only New Day that's ever happened to.
Weird though. I do think there is something in Big E being their hype man that helps them because they just don't feel as fluid as they used to.
No, and they flubbed all the lines as well, and it wasn't funny. It felt off, and I don't know how much of that's due to the fact how much was written or changed or whatever, and who knows.
But anymore, like even let's say we go off the belief that it was written and that's why it was a bit more awkward. Why are they suddenly insisting that they write all their lines for them?
Yeah,
it used to give them a bit enough freedom. It never used to feel like this.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm telling you now, they better not do a New Day talk show. I'm sick of talk shows now. It's like it's done. It really is. Like, I get you need some segments on your 3-hour show. Fuck off with the talk shows, please. Just do something else.
It's like we've not got Raw Underground anymore. What do we need? What can we have?
Yeah, it's awful. And I've already mentioned in the as I was running down the match card, the whole thing with the Miz. Like, come on. He's the Money in the Bank again. Awesome. Put him in a tag match, make him lose. Perfect. Sound.
I need to talk about Miz, but we'll talk about it at the end.
Okay. We also had Shayna Baszler, and then Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke were there, and like, where's Nia? I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing that she wasn't there, but like, where is she? Why is Shayna on her own anymore?
Where's Nia?
Yeah, why Shayna on her own? And then Mandy and Dana are there, and then Dana has a match, and yeah, I don't get it. I don't care about it. Just yeah, fuck off. Bore off with that now. Right, this next one, and this does grind my gears. This right?
Oh, God.
Oh, no, my Google Docs is going mental.
Don't reveal the secrets, Carl. We don't use Google Docs.
Something has gone wrong. The space bar is constantly spacing. Is it your space bar, Anthony?
No.
No?
But, I'm going to guess that your gripe was due to the fact that they keep having like faces or apparent faces like Riddle pull heel tactics. I'm guessing that's what your issue was.
So yeah, basically my computer is fucked at the minute, so I'll just get through the roll. I'll have to stop it. It's like I don't know what it's doing. Something's gone mental. But yeah, so the other thing, which is really annoying and it really does piss me off, Anthony, is when you've got a face who does heel tactics. So basically, the match, Bobby Lashley had it won, and Riddle tapped. The referee didn't see it, so then he lets him go from his little full Nelson thing that he does, and then because the ref didn't see it, Riddle basically rolls him up for the win, and it's like, that is such a heel thing to do. Like,
yeah, like it's an odd choice, but this is like they're not even looking at the heel face dynamic, are they? They're going, we want Riddle to win, but we don't want Lashley to lose.
Yeah.
So shenanigans. Like, they don't care how it happens. They're just like, well, we need to make Lashley look strong.
Yeah. So didn't make any friggin' sense.
You know what else didn't make sense?
What else did it make sense?
Finish of the night, Carl. I'll tell them about the finish of the night, Carl.
Oh, so yeah.
It's like they took my absolute worst nightmare in the world of wrestling and then charged me to see.
So obviously, we all know, everyone who watches this show knows Anthony's affection for Goldberg.
That's true.
Legends Night happens. We have a fantastic main event, and then apparently it overruns slightly. So Drew goes to get the microphone after the match. They
dealt with it so seamlessly. You just wouldn't have noticed.
And the next minute, Goldberg's coming out, and he cuts a promo saying that Drew has disrespected people. Of course, he hasn't had a chance to fucking speak yet. So when did that happen? And then Goldberg basically challenges him at the Royal Rumble. And then Drew kind of goes off script as well, because he, obviously it's all fucked up, and he's like, "You want to fight me? Everyone knows I'm all about respect, but I think you're trying to get inside my head, and you know what? You're not what you think you are. Fighting you would be like fighting my own dad, mate." And then they kind of laugh at each other, and then Goldberg pushes him on his ass, and the show ends there. And that's the last shot we see.
So
everything we could want.
You know what? Is this a booking thing? Are they trying to make Goldberg look like an egotistical asshole? Because every other legend, you even mentioned it, Carl, that a lot of the legends didn't have stuff to do. Every other legend who was involved did not get involved. And then we get to Goldberg, and what does he do? He can't just turn up for Legends Night. No, he has to insert himself in the fucking title picture. And yes, I know it's booked, but that's the point. Is this actually an angle? Are they making him that much of an egotistical asshole that he can't turn up as a veteran without putting the limelight on himself and putting himself in the biggest picture? It's fucking stupid. Yeah. And I was actually surprised. Most people don't agree with me half the time with Goldberg, but I was actually surprised just how many people weren't keen on this as an idea. And here's why I was going to leave the Miz part, Carl, because I'm going to make a prediction right now, right? Because I think WWE sincerely want to fucking piss us off, right? That we're going to get the Royal Rumble. We're going to get this match between Drew and Goldberg. It'll last approximately 5 minutes because it's Goldberg. And it's going to look like Goldberg might win it. I'm not saying he's going to do a jackhammer because I'm not sure he could lift Drew, but we're going to get the match, right? And then we're going to make sure that Drew wins it. And everyone's going to be like, oh, thank God for that. Thank God that Drew actually won and didn't lose out to Goldberg, because that would have just been really frustrating. And then the Miz is going to rock up, take on a battered Drew, win the title, and fucking make everyone fume and ruin Royal Rumble for everybody. That's what's going to happen.
Please no.
I don't want it
Please
to
no.
happen. That's what's going to happen. Because why else could they put fucking money in the bank back on him? That's my thoughts anyway. I don't want it to happen.
No.
But it's going to happen.
But Anthony, that was Legends Night. That was the biggest disappointment in a long while. And for me, the main event is the only thing that saves it at all. So even that wasn't enough to give it any higher than a 0.5.
Yeah, I'll go with that. I'll go with 0.5 as well. Any lower, it'd just be me really hating Goldberg, which I'm tempted to, but I'm not. I'm not that prejudiced. So yeah, I'm going to go with a 0.5 as well.
So that was another stellar episode of Raw.
Let's talk about NXT, shall we? So this is New Year's Evil because they needed a name for it apparently.
See what they did there.
I know, right? Right. So as far as the card goes, Carl, on paper, seems quite good. We have opening the night Damian Priest going up against Karrion Kross, with Karrion Kross taking the win, of course. We have Santos Escobar going up against Grand Metalik for the Cruiserweight title, with Santos Escobar taking the win, of course. We have Xia Li going up against Katrina Cortez, with Xia Li taking the win, of course. We have Rhea Ripley going up against Raquel Gonzalez in a last woman standing match, with Raquel Gonzalez taking the win. We see Gargano and LeRae going up against Kushida and Shotzi Blackheart, because why not? With Kushida and Shotzi Blackheart taking the win. And then we end the night with a lovely little rehash of a match we've had once before, with the results we've had once before, of Finn Balor going up against Kyle O'Reilly for the NXT title, with Finn Balor taking the win. So on paper, there's some good matches here. So I'll do the highlights, but I've got one overall gripe, really. So as far as highlights go, Rhea and Gonzalez was an absolute fucking banger of a match. It was the right decision as well. And I was a bit worried about this, but Gonzalez took the win, and they're setting her up perfectly for going into that title scene with Io, which I think is hopefully where they're going with it. And Rhea didn't need the win on this, and it just really helped push Gonzalez that little bit further. Okay, there was a couple little shenanigans with Dakota Kai, but nothing too major, nothing too detrimental. Overall, and let's face it, if you're going to have a match stipulation like a last woman standing match, that's when you can have a couple of shenanigans, isn't it? So even that didn't detract from the match. Overall, it was a really, really good match. And if you're not going to watch any other part of NXT, watch this match. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to say skip the rest. I'm just going to say, So the other highlights I've got, Carl, as much as it pains me to admit it, was Balor and O'Reilly was another very engaging match. I didn't need the match or want the match. I knew what the result was going to be before it was ever happening. But it was actually a good match. They do work well together. They got good chemistry. They wanted to... I think maybe they were leaning a bit too heavily on the whole broken jaw thing. Like, hey, we're going to go that hard against each other again. It's like, it was an accident the first time. Like, I get it. You want to go for what looks like a slugfest, but we're not going to believe that you're going to try and break each other's jaws again. Let's be honest. But nevertheless, it was actually a good match. It was just predictable, but it is a highlight. I'm calling it a highlight. However, that mention of predictable forms essentially my only shite, but that covers the whole show, and it was a very predictable show. Like, if you look at this card and had to guess the winners, you would. Let's go back. They're not going to ruin Karrion Kross's momentum, so he was going to beat Damian Priest. Santos Escobar wasn't going to lose the Cruiserweight title to someone who's not even on NXT, so Santos Escobar was going to take the win. They're building up a story with Xia Li, and she was going up against someone who's not really, that prominent on the roster just yet. Xia Li was going to take the win. The only one that was slightly unpredictable was I didn't honestly know who was going to win between Rhea and Raquel.
Yeah.
The Gargano, Kushida, and Shotzi stuff was that was a random backstage happened, sudden match anyway. So you couldn't necessarily say it was on the card at first, but even that, it's I don't know, that they were clearly, I don't know if you can necessarily say predict it, but do you need it? No. And Balor was never going to lose the title. So you look at the whole thing and go, yeah, called it. And that, sadly, is what makes it a bit weaker. There were some good matches, some enjoyable matches. It wasn't particularly bad week. I think we seem to like naming NXTs a lot now.
Every other week.
I'm not saying that has a direct parallel to another show.
No.
It's on a Wednesday night. But before that, they used to just do your standard NXTs. And then, we'd have maybe the Dusty Classic would be a highlight, but it wouldn't necessarily be like the name of the show. And then you get your takeovers. So when there's now a name in every fucking thing. Every other week we've got a name for the show. It feels deliberate. But nevertheless, it was okay. And very middle of the road, sadly, similar to last week. I'm gonna have to give it a 2.5 because there was just not enough going on in terms of excitement. There were some good matches, yeah, and it was a decent week, but there's nothing to make me go, fuck, that was really good. So 2.5 firmly.
Yeah, I think I would echo your sentiment entirely. Obviously, it's good to see Carrion back and winning. I don't think that was ever in jeopardy.
No.
I think you've hit the nail on the head with predictable. There was nothing on there except for that last woman standing match, where you couldn't look at it ahead of time and go, oh yeah, that's obvious. So for me, it just felt like a very, did it need to happen kind of show. And
it's like the whole Carrion Damian Priest thing. I feel like we took the long way around to get into Carrion Balor, which is what people want to see.
Yeah.
And I get it. They want to build time, but it's like, I didn't need the Priest match or the O'Reilly match.
Well, they need to build time so that you can come out with a sort of like time and be like, hey, time. It's like the only reason.
Wouldn't it be good though? We come out with the egg time and it just went really fast.
I know, yeah.
How's that bitch?
I'd love it if you said that as well. How's that bitch? But yeah, I don't know. I think I echo your sentiment entirely for this show. But I'm not as attached to the people in there, so I can't even give it a 2.5. I'm gonna give it a 2. And I think, a big portion of that 2 comes down to that last one standing match. And
yeah,
I think you're right as well. Like I to be honest, that's the only one where I probably would have thought that they would still book Rhea Ripley to win. So yeah, I'm surprised.
It wouldn't have been that wouldn't have been an unreasonable thought. It was a difficult one to call that, to be honest. I think they made the right decision.
I think I'm surprised.
Naturally, it sparked that same rumor again. Like, and I didn't put it in the news because it's not news really, but it's like, is she going to the main roster? Is she going to the main roster? She must be going to the main roster. It's like, they'd have done it already if she was going.
Apparently, there's going to be a couple of call-ups, isn't there? So I think Damian Priest is going to SmackDown.
Oh, fuck.
Word on the grapevine. So.
Do you know what? I look forward to Damian Priest versus Baron Corbin.
Yeah, that's the type of match that should stay in NXT, really.
They're like, difference is night and later that night.
So yeah, I don't know. I think there are going to be a couple of call-ups coming. So maybe this is the time for Rhea Ripley. But I don't know. If it's not now, then when's it ever going to be? Do you know what I mean? It really should have been after the match with Charlotte. WrestleMania.
Well, that's the thing. It seems odd that they'd call her up now after like doing nothing on NXT for a while, when they could have moved it up after that momentum of proving she was like, didn't necessarily win, but she proven she was a main event, main show person. But who are we to judge?
Who are we to judge? But yeah, get a 2 from me, Anthony. A 2 from me.
A solid 2.
A solid number 2. Then we go on to AEW's Dynamite, which is also named this week.
Of course it is.
This is.
We can't not name the fucking Wednesday night shows, can we?
NXT has New Year's Evil. Dynamite has New Year's Smash Night 1. So this is going to be a double header. So we are going to see Night 2 on Wednesday, basically. Okay. The card that took place for Night 1 is we had an 8-man tag opening the show with the Young Bucks teaming with SCU, taking on the Acclaimed and the Hybrid 2, with the team of Young Bucks and SCU picking up the win. We had Jon Moxley making his return for the first time since he lost the AEW title to Kenny Omega. We had a couple of weeks ago. We had Jake Hager taking on Wardlow, which I was looking forward to. And surprisingly, Wardlow picked up the win, which I'm digging that.
Was it everything you thought it'd be?
I think it could go another level, maybe, but
I think it needs to.
I like it.
This was more like an appetizer to the main course, wasn't it?
It was in Le Dîner Debonair. Then we had a TNT title weigh-in, Darby Allin and Brian Cage. Which
why weigh either of them in?
Yeah, doesn't make
the fuck does that even matter? Darby Allin weighs nothing next to the man. Why point that out?
Exactly. We had Cody taking on Matt Sydal with a Snoop Dogg in Cody's corner, with Cody picking up the win. We had the women's title on the line. Anthony Hikaru Shida finally battled Abaddon in what was a bit of a lackluster match, unfortunately. But Shida did retain. And the main event was a fucking banger again. So it was the world title match. Kenny Omega took on Rey Fenix, with Omega retaining in a fantastic match. So that was the card. I've got a lot of highlights, but I've actually got quite a few highlights this week. So let's jump into the highlights. So firstly, I love that they are kicking it off with it's Wednesday night. You know what that means.
I know. I hope that does continue.
I hope it sticks now. It'd be a nice little tribute because it's a great way to open the show as well. It's Wednesday night. You know what that means. It's time for Dynamite.
Exactly. It's such a good line. And like you say, it's just that subtle bit of honouring them for like forevermore, really, isn't it?
Yeah. So I hope that's something that stays. Then the opening match, it's the same. It's the same thing every week, pretty much with AEW. It's they always start the show with a high intensity, action packed, entertaining match.
Roller coaster ride.
Roller coaster ride, and this one was no different, to be honest. This was an 8-man match basically, but we know that AEW do this really, really well. Everyone gets a chance to shine, and also, Anthony, it may surprise you, I've shat on the Acclaimed quite a bit since they kind of made.
Yes, you have.
But you know what? The rap was okay this week. I don't know whether they just got lucky. I'm still not a fan of the gimmick at all, but I don't know. No. I thought it was it was a step above the other raps and stuff that they'd done. I like the whole, they were self-referential of them being like the next John Cena and stuff like that, and but them saying that the Young Bucks are Genetti, which is like okay. And I like the way that Jericho was just going mental on commentary saying he can't say those names. So yeah, I don't know. I thought it was all right. But yeah, still jury's still out in terms of them and their gimmick, to be honest. But that being said, the match itself, full of action. Everyone got a chance to shine. The winners, as expected, were Young Bucks. But then there's a nice little thing after the match as well. So Kazarian got on the mic and basically said that he had made a deal with Christopher Daniels that the next time those two lose, they're going to split up. But they wanted to use this as an opportunity to, lay out the challenge to the Young Bucks, basically, and they respectfully challenged them for them titles. So they don't want to give up. They don't believe it's going to happen. But when that comes and when they do lose, and if they don't get that title shot, then they're going to go their separate ways. So I thought that was an interesting one. So yeah, maybe we're going to see more singles action for Kaz and Daniels.
Yeah. Bit of solo Kazarian work, eh?
Yeah, maybe. So the next highlight, just how good is Jon Moxley, man? Like, he has found his feet now in AEW. I shat all over this dude when he first came over because I didn't know who he was, what he was about. He was still doing lunatic fringy type shit. That's long gone. I think his character work he's finally nailed now. He came in, he just has this aura, this presence about him that the top guys should have. And, he didn't make it all about himself. He set a lot of, he put Phoenix over massively for the main event. Talked about the 13 years, the big long slog that he's had to get to this point and how he fully deserves it. But he told Omega to, watch his back, check that rearview mirror. He's like the boogeyman. He's coming, kind of thing. And yeah, I just thought it was a great promo, and it's been missed the last few weeks with not having him there.
You've hit on a really important point there, that like he has that air about him now. It has that atmosphere that he is a big deal, and that's been earned. I know a lot of people buzzed when he first rocked up, but I was kind of in your boat of like, this is Dean with a bit more freedom, but this is very much Moxley now, and it's getting to a point where he's like you say, he is that top tier guy, and it is a big deal when he arrives.
Well, I think that's good. He's finally solidified himself as a main eventer to me. He was never going to get that in WWE. He was never going to get it with the Ambrose character. He's now Jon Moxley.
Do you know what? Like, this is the thing. I know a lot of people slate AEW and expect it not to work in the long term and so on. And let's say at some point, for some reason, Mox goes back over to WWE. It's this work here that's made him a main event guy.
Oh yeah.
If he ultimately ends up a big deal in WWE again at some point in his life, it's proven this point now that's got him there.
Yeah. I mean, I can't ever see that even happening. To be fair,
I can't, but you got to entertain the theories, haven't you?
yeah. No, but I think if that ever did happen, then you're absolutely right. It's if he goes back there and they try and do some stupid shit with him, Lunatic Fringe is just not going to work anymore. He is Moxley now, and he's got his
He's
character.
proven what works.
Yeah, definitely. The next highlights, I'm a fan of the mirror match. We did a Mortal Kombat thing last week in our A versus K segment. I love a match where you just get two similar dudes just going up against each other and stylistically just seeing which one comes out on top. So obviously I was very hyped to see Jake Hager and Wardlow. I've loved all the little, them staring each other down for weeks and weeks on end. So I was excited to see this. It did start off quite slow, to be fair. So I was a bit underwhelmed to start off with, but I think it picked up pace. We got to a point where they were just wailing on each other. There was a lot of agility there for two big men as well. But it did end up coming into a proper big man match, which, still has its place. And I think the fact that these guys are quite agile and they could throw in a couple of extra bits as well, I thought, made for a pretty decent match overall as well. So, yeah, it was one of them. I think, is it the appetizer to something down the road where we could see, something bigger with a bit more gravitas, potentially? But
I
yeah,
hope so.
I thought it was decent for what it was.
No, this is the thing. It was decent, but if you said to me like, "This is all you're getting," that's their match. They've had it. That would feel disappointing in a way.
Yeah.
So it was. I don't want to slate it, but at the same time, I do hope that they are carrying on somewhere with this.
Yeah, agreed. And then the last highlight, Anthony, I've got is the main event. So Kenny Omega took on Rey Fenix, and what a fucking match, right? These guys, like, legit, are just fucking so good. They're so talented. They can just do stuff that's different every single time. And I don't know, you've got to respect that a match just doesn't feel the same. And no surprises. Omega does pick up the win and all that good stuff. But the match itself, I thought, was just so good. They tried so many different kind of counters and different high risk maneuvers, and I don't know. I just thought it was fantastic, to be fair. And Rey Fenix, considering he's just in a tag team with his brother, he's been given so many opportunities to shine as a singles guy as well. And I think every time he has had that opportunity, he's hit it out the park as well. So to hang with Kenny Omega like that and put on such a good match, I was loving it.
Agreed.
But yeah, so Omega does pick up the win, and then basically Don Callis is on the microphone and is like, oh, and also we've taken out Pac and we've taken out Penta as well. So then tells Omega to go back after Phoenix. But then John Moxley comes down and with a baseball bat covered in barbed wire and goes after Kenny. But before he can wail on him, the Good Brothers show up. The TNA Impact Tag Team Champions basically show up and assist Kenny Omega and start beating down Moxley. A lot of other tag teams try and come down to try and make the save. So Griffin, Brian Pillman, a lot of other guys come down, but they're just no match. And eventually the Young Bucks come down and they're trying to kind of cool it all down. But then the show ends with those guys all basically doing the Too Sweet kind of Wolfpack salute. So that kind of implies, have the Young Bucks, are the elite, and the Bullet Club basically
the OG Bullet Club by all accounts. Correct me if I'm wrong, New Japan nerds. But is this the OG Bullet Club? Maybe. I love shout out to Adam Pacitti of Cultaholic. Sorry, because he's massive. But they put up a picture of all their hands together. Yeah. And he said, sum this picture up in one word, and he just put fingers. And I was like, that's boss. Because that's literally all you had.
Well, I thought it was funny that they replied, didn't he? AEW went back and said, Pacitti, you little rascal.
Yeah.
That was nice.
I mean, because they're well known, aren't they, Cultaholic, with the wrestling community. Like, I believe their signs were banned from WWE at one point. So that's a good acclaim, isn't it? Like,
well, there you go.
that would go on my CV there.
Yeah, 100%. Well, we've actually got our faces banned from WWE. So yeah, they were all the highlights in terms of the O'Shite. So I've got a couple. So firstly, I alluded to it in the rundown of the card. Darby Allin and Brian Cage, that weigh-in segment was just a load of shit, isn't it? Firstly, why do we need a weigh-in? We don't do weigh-ins for anyone else. I get it. Is it to prove the fact that Darby is light and Brian Cage is big?
this is the thing. I don't complain about AEW enough, but I feel like we always play it fair, and when there's a reason to, we will. Right? This is as stupid as a contract signing. It's as useless as a contract signing because this shit doesn't matter with wrestling.
Nope.
This isn't UFC, and don't get me wrong, because I know Carl, you particularly enjoy the tail of the tape when they were stacking the stats against each other. This is totally different though. This is a weigh in for weighing's sake, and this is like you say, it's like Darby Allin's like what, 60 pounds, like probably, I don't know. He's a very skinny dude, right? And Brian Cage is very much not.
Yeah. Well,
So
exactly. You know, the whole thing.
What did this prove? Other than stuff we already knew, like Brian Cage is big.
Yeah.
Yeah, we knew that.
I get it. You know, it's pro wrestling. You need to kind of change it up every so often. You know, that's why they have these other kind of segments. We had with the, you know, was it when Cody was champion? He had a press conference at one point, and that was okay. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't amazing, but it was okay. And you get why they do them, but the weigh-in thing was just, I don't know, it was a step too far for me. It just didn't make any sense, and it was just silly the way they'd done it. And I think
it puts that thought in your head of going, oh, so we're weighing in, so weight class matters.
Well, exactly.
But it obviously doesn't, because then they would never be able to have a match.
Exactly. You know, especially for the TNT title as well. Like, it's not even, you know, I don't even think it's the TNT heavyweight. It's just the TNT title. So, doesn't mean
unless they were going to end the segment with them weighing them in and going, oh, Darby, you shouldn't even have this belt. Sorry.
I know, yeah, they just strip it off them straight away. But yeah, I think the thing for me that really made it even more of an oh-shite, which is a shame, is the fact that the lights went out and Sting came down. And it's like, yeah, okay, we get it. Like, Sting likes Darby and there's something going on there, blah, blah, blah. But you see it every fucking week and it's the same segments. Team Taz are there. They're going to beat people up. Then Sting comes out and then they all run away. We've done it for about 3 or 4 weeks in a row now. And it's like, fuck. Like, all right, I've seen it now. Just fuck off. We get it. So yeah, well, I wasn't impressed, to be honest.
Yeah, too many Stings.
The next thing, so unfortunately Trent is out with an injury, so he's going to be out for a couple of months, it seems. So they did a bit of a backstage interview bit with Chucky T and fucking Orange Cassidy, and then Miro comes and starts getting in his face and stuff like that, and then effectively Chuck Taylor's like, oh, you know what, I've had enough of you. You know, I'll fight you. I'm going to fight you next week. And so Miro's like, okay, well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to make you, you know, the stipulation is you'll be my young boy if you lose. And it's like, why are you using fucking Japanese fucking, so basically a young boy in like when you go and wrestle in Japan is like they're like your protege, so you can make them do it. It's like haze them and everything. You can tidy up after you, all this kind of stuff.
I thought he was being kind of weird.
So it's like, exactly. So it's like, why are they using that? Just say like, you know, I'll make you my fucking butler or, you know, fucking slave or whatever, you know, just something like that. Not just I'll make you my young boy. It doesn't make any sense. And I'm not being funny. Not everyone is a fucking mark. Not everyone is there just going, oh, I know the ins and outs of this and that. And like, some people just won't get it. And you need to appeal to not just people who, like, if you think about this show, as cool as the ending was and stuff with the Gallows and Anderson, a lot of people won't even know the fuck of the Bullet Club are. A lot of people will just be like, oh, there's those dudes from WWE. So it's like,
exactly. They don't even know that an Impact.
Yeah, so it's like they proper lean into the whole Japan scene way too much sometimes. And
yeah, like there's a fair amount now with AEW where you have to have pre-existing knowledge of other things.
Yeah.
So yeah, a bit
too heavy
on that really.
That just didn't land for me, and I think, you know, I wanted to give Miro the benefit of the doubt. He's come in, they've not pushed him as this monster character or anything like that. They give him a little bit of a gimmick with kind of comedy elements, but yeah, I'm kind of sick of that now as well.
The potential's still there. They just need to decide what to do with them.
Yeah, like, you know, do the wedding angle, have Miro turn on him or something, and then, you know,
don't do the wedding. Like, why do we keep trying these things in wrestling in general? WWE have proved the point that these fucking angles do not work.
Yeah.
There's some sort of weird irony with Miro being booked in this kind of bullshit when he's been involved in that kind of bullshit in WWE so many times.
No, there definitely is. And I think, you know, you've got to put AEW to the sword sometimes as well. You know, they did come out and say, we're not going to do this WWE shit and we're going to be more of a sports product and things. But you do see, like, we're going to do a wedding angle and stuff. And
honestly,
I don't know.
I'm waiting for Eric Bischoff to reveal himself as the fucking minister. That's how similar this is to WWE stuff. It's just,
yeah, I don't know. It's one of them. I'm not massive, like, I don't mind being sports entertained. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think way back when to like Macho Man Randy Savage and Miss Elizabeth their wedding and stuff, and okay, it was fine, but I don't know. I just feel like do we need to see it?
I've never known it work.
Yeah.
In fact, the only time I've actually thought an on-screen relationship worked storyline-wise was Edge and Lita. Because they did exactly what they need to do with it. They built heat as a couple.
Yeah.
Every time, otherwise, you see these romance angles. They don't. I've never known one work for me. And I wasn't around. Like I wasn't watching wrestling for the Randy Savage stuff. So it may have worked way back when. I don't know.
No, but I think you're right though. I think
what you end up with is like Mae Young giving birth to a fucking hand. Like it's just.
Yeah, so I don't know. I wasn't a fan of that whole segment and the whole fucking.
One thing I do want to mention with that segment as well is like this just kind of highlighted for me that Orange Cassidy, despite being so prominent at one point, just doesn't have a lot to do right now, does he?
He didn't even say a word. He just and I know that's his gimmick, but he stood there and it was like this guy was going for the.
It made me realize like he was on a TNT title match. He actually had a really good show and he was up against Jericho, which is a really good sort of boom for him because Jericho's a legend. And then suddenly it's like not even really having matches.
Yeah,
I think it probably didn't help that for whatever reason I'd seen a bit of a replay or a highlight of his match with Pac, and I was like, God, that was a fucking good match. That was a really good. That's when I was like, wow, this guy's cool because I did not expect that match to be so good.
Yeah,
knowing what they
it feels so weird good. Now. He just doesn't have any kind of prominent position, does he? So it seems
there's a bit
of a fall from grace. Another O'Shea, Anthony, is another character and gimmick for Matt Hardy, and one I'm not really sure about, if I'm honest. So effectively, he's been like the agent now for Private Party. So he's drafted us on contracts. He's made them sign them. He's getting a 30% fee. And then there was the little jab at WWE, which it wasn't like that's not why it's an O'Shea, but at the same time, it's a bit like that's a bit old now. Where he's like, you can still do cameos. I'm not a monster, and it's like
I think
that would have been funny at the time.
Yeah, it's like it's a slightly dated reference now, and to be honest, I think AEW are kind of above taking jabs now. I get why they did initially, I do. You're an up and coming company, and they're snapping at the heels. Right now, I think they're prominent enough that they don't need to do that. They don't need to lower themselves to it, really. And to be honest, I think the Matt Hardy agent thing feels like a rehash of WWE stuff as well.
A little bit.
Might as well be MVP, mightn't he? Let's be honest.
Yeah, I don't get where it's coming from or why, because he's got that many gimmicks and characters as it is. I just don't. Even up until recently, he's had this like another weird gimmick, hasn't he? It's like this is a new one this week almost. He had that weird thing of like what was it? It was like he had that weird T-shirt and it kind of said on it what his gimmick was. Can't remember, but it was just like
I can't. He's got so many gimmicks.
Yeah, so I don't know. This one just seemed a bit. So
he's basically like at some point this whole thing's going to culminate to him getting locked up in a mental home, suffering with multiple hits. This is Split told over a series of wrestling shows. This is what this is.
Maybe. I'd quite like to see that actually.
Matt's out as the 8-year-old boy today.
Just having a match with fucking -1. Getting his ass kicked. So another O'Shea, got quite a few, haven't I, to be honest, this week. So Cody and Sydal. So the match itself was fine, so I'm not going to shit on that, and that's not the reason it's an O'Shea. After the match, Cody got attacked by Luther and Serpentico. Why? Okay. Have I missed something? Like, why?
I'm aware of.
Like, why?
Because.
What was that about? They came out and started attacking Cody, and I get it was to set up giving someone, that Snoop Dogg could do a fucking splash on. Cool. But, yeah, why? It didn't make any sense why after the match they would go after Cody, them two in particular. So that was really weird. And then lastly, Anthony, this is quite a big O'Shea for me because I'm just more disappointed than anything. I'm not angry.
I'm not
disappointed. Right? And it's the women's match. So the stuff that Abaddon had been doing leading up to this, I thought was great. And I thought the work Sheeta had been doing to react to that and was terrified. And I thought it was brilliant. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, you've praised it in previous weeks.
Yeah, this is like a meaty feud for Sheeta to get herself in. Like, great. I'm looking forward to this. And then they've just kind of, I don't know. Like, firstly, the commentators just buried Abaddon, and it proper pissed me off. Basically, Jericho and JR were like, "Oh well, there's a difference between putting your makeup on for work and living in it, and oh, we've been having these gimmicks for 30 years." I was like, "Why are you doing that?" No one said like, "Oh well, Undertaker's not really dead." Like, why?
See, that it really pisses me off because like I've praised Abaddon, and again, I don't want any smart telling me that technically this other person, like, this is the first time I've known a woman's wrestler with such a fleshed out persona similar to that of the Undertaker, and it being done so well. And I thought that was like a really good sign for the way women's wrestling is today. And then you get two old fashioned, and I don't mean to say it because they are legends and I normally respect them, but you got two old fashioned dickheads just being sexist, and like you say, you wouldn't say that about the likes of the Undertaker going, well, he's not really dead.
I just don't like. I hate when commentators bury the talent. Like, their job should be to get them over. And
Exactly.
to be there going, "Oh well, she's not even dead anyway," and she just puts makeup on, takes it too far, and she's like living this character, and oh, this is just a gimmick that we've had for 30. It's like, it's stupid. It really is stupid, and it insults the intelligence of the people watching it as well. That you think people are there going, "Oh, she's really dead." No, but we don't want to be reminded of that. Like, it's entertainment. Let us watch it and let us think this is this
Let's
character.
face it, they've not done it with, like, over the years. He's not really an Indian chief. He's not really a Mountie. He's not really like, why are we like say they're just being dicks and
Yeah.
burying for no reason?
And then to make it worse, the match itself wasn't good either, and that's what is even more annoying. To be fair, like, it started off quite well. So Abaddon tried to attack Sheeta in an entrance, which is very in character with Abaddon, so it made sense. And she got a kendo stick to the head pretty quickly, and then of which she sat up from. And was like, "Oh my god, she's a monster. How are we going to put her away?" But then, I don't know. It was just so flat. It was such a flat match, and there was quite a few botches in there. The finish was pretty shit as well, and I don't know. After all that build, it just didn't live up to the hype. Unfortunately, it was a bit of a shame.
Yeah. No, it was a real shame.
So, yeah, that was the show, and taking everything into account, as good as some of the matches were, if you look at the whole thing, it gets a 2.5, and even that, you know what I mean. I think I'm being a little bit generous to a degree, just with like the quality of the main event, and like Hager, Wardlow, and Moxley, and the opening match, because everything else was bland. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, I don't know, 2.5, I think, and that's me being generous.
I'm with you, 2.5, and to be honest, a large part of that is because it wasn't worse than NXT.
No.
For me, and I know you gave NXT a slightly low rating, but I couldn't, in all honesty, put it lower than NXT. But it suffered more problems, but it was probably just as watchable, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
NXT was just kind of there. This had some things that you're like, that was disappointing, but overall, it was still a really good show. So, yeah, 2.5 for me. I think it balances.
Okay. That was Dynamite.
That was. Should we talk about SmackDown?
Let's do it.
No, okay. So we open the night with another Roman Reigns promo. I'm not ragging Roman Reigns. He's done really good work as a heel, but it seems to be how we start every SmackDown now.
Yep.
Okay. I'll give some context to the promo after we do the card. We have the first match of the night being Big E going up against Apollo for the IC title, and this is their little the match that was sort of jokingly booked last week. Big E took the win, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And that was that. We had the Street Profits going up against Ziggler and Rude for the tag titles, with, surprisingly, and alluded to earlier, Ziggler and Rude taking the win. Don't know what that's about. Then we end the night. That's right, we end the night right there. Now we end the night with Mysterio going up against Sami Zayn, going up against Shinsuke Nakamura, going up against Baron Corbin, going up against Daniel Bryan, going up against Adam Pearce in a gauntlet match to crown the number one contender for Roman Reigns' title, with Adam Pearce taking the win. Now, that isn't as straightforward as it sounds. He wasn't competing, but let's talk about all the fucking shenanigans that happened, shall we? So as far as highlights go, Carl, and I'm marking it as a highlight, I don't think it's a good thing for Street Profits by any means, but I don't like Street Profits, so that's good. So my highlight is the fact that they lost the titles, And this isn't just me going, oh, I don't like Street Profits, I'm glad they lost the titles. This is the fact that this would have basically ended Ziggler and Rude as a tag team, whether you want them or not, I suppose. But like, if they want to go anywhere with Ziggler and Rude as a tag team, they could not have them lose here. They might as well have just broke up at that point. Yeah. So it kind of makes sense to give them the win if you want to move forward, to give them some momentum as a tag team. They do work well as a tag team. I have a personal sort of gripe with putting random wrestlers together and hoping it works, but they do work well as a tag team. And okay, they're the champs now, so let's see where we go. We'll probably see the Street Profits back in the frame to try and win them back or whatever. It just makes me wonder what the faith WWE seems to have in the Street Profits is. About the same as mine, I suppose, by the looks of it. So yeah, it was an unusual one. But overall, I feel like it's a highlight. It was kind of the right decision, considering,
Yeah, I'll agree with that. I think, Dolph hasn't been anything in terms of the single scene for a while, and then Bobby Roode disappeared for some time as well. So they're finally back. They made an impact last week, and I was surprised to see them pick up the tag titles. So it definitely seems like they're going to be giving them a push. And you're absolutely right. If they would have lost, then like what would be the point? Like, they were just dead on arrival, weren't they? So I like that they've actually given the straps, and let's see what they do with them.
Exactly. Yeah. So hold out hope. Maybe. So that was the highlights. Let's talk about the O'Shite, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
So first one. I'm not saying the promo itself was weak, but I'll give a bit of context to the promo that Roman come out basically to lambast Adam Pearce and blame him. Like, everything that happened to Kevin Owens was Adam Pearce's fault because he booked that match.
Mm-hmm.
And it, plays into Roman's character of like, yeah, I beat the shit out of him, but you caused that, and giving him down the banks. And I'm like, what I don't like about it is like, what are they doing with Adam Pearce? So now he's an authority figure who has no authority. He's got enough balls about him to kick Drew McIntyre out of the building and kick Randy Orton out of the building, but he won't stand up to Roman.
Yeah,
like,
apparently so.
I don't get it. And it's like, okay, they were leading somewhere fucking weird, somewhere we've never been before. But the promo didn't land for me just because of what they were trying to do, I suppose. That's not to say Roman didn't do any particularly bad work here. I'm trying to be very careful not to I'm not trying to roast Roman. He's still doing a good job as a heel. It was just the direction that they're sending this angle is a bit weird.
Yeah, I think it's important that we say that as well, because Roman was still fantastic on the mic. It's crazy to think this is the same guy who, couldn't get his words out in a promo with John Cena a couple of years ago.
Or was made some sort of weird Jack and the Beanstalk story out of his feud with Big Show.
Well, exactly. Yeah, it's crazy to think it's the same guy. He's so improved, and it comes across in every promo he does. But yeah, I think the only reason to know shite is just the way it kind of set up the stuff with Pearce, and Heyman had to get involved and stuff at the end, didn't he? And he was kind of like, just as my counsel, just think about it, and don't beat him up and things like that. And yeah, I don't know. I think he also flubbed it. He did flub his lines once or twice as well, which he hasn't done since he's come back. But yeah, it's definitely not. I'm definitely not going to shit on him because I think he's so
no.
good.
Oh yeah. Even just the way he's putting himself across, like the tone and the body language in that, like, it's like he's doing a good job of coming across that menacing, and that, like you say, he's putting in some work there.
Yeah.
Some other O'Shite, Carl. The Apollo going up against Big E could have been an alright match with an obvious finish, but it was just a fuck up of a booking. Like, they were mates last week. Now we're teasing potentially that Apollo is going to turn heel.
Yeah.
They do this spot. Typically, we have to have at least one match a night has to have some sort of fucking shenanigans. They do this spot where both the shoulders were down. So then Apollo gets frustrated and insists that, he slaps him, sorry. So I think Big E insists that they redo the match. And they redo the match, and Big E gets the win anyway. Big E didn't look strong in this because they were giving Apollo more offense, especially the first time around before both shoulders were down.
Mm-hmm.
So you could argue that maybe Apollo should have won that if he'd have kept his shoulders off the fucking mat. But yeah, it was just, I feel like they fucking fucked this up. This just could have been a high energy match between the two to help push Big E as the IC title holder. but instead it feels like they might be trying to do something with Apollo. But as we've seen typically with Apollo, they're probably not. We're probably not going to see him for like 6 or 7 weeks now.
Well, unpopular opinion potentially from me, but I think Big E's been a fucking flop, a tremendous flop as a single star. Not digging it at all in the slightest. I think his IC run, he's only been a champion for a week and already it's shit. So
that's the problem. Like this was a total fuck up of a booking. They could do some damage control. I still hold out faith that he could be a single star, but this was not the right way to start his run off. This was
I don't think you can do the New Day gimmick on his own. And the whole they split them up and then they still had the fucking New Day out every other week with them anyway.
Yeah.
Which didn't help things. And now the only difference to his gimmick is he comes out and puts chalk on his hands again.
It's shit of music as well. He's the New Day with shit of music.
There you go. Yeah. So I don't know. It doesn't work. Doesn't work at all for me. I think either he should be so over the top New Day style and cool, or he should be like, I'm a big fucking menacing bastard. He shouldn't be some sort of weird hybrid because it just doesn't work.
It's like they took the excitable over the top Big E from the New Day, slipped him a couple of Valium and sent him on his way, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I've been underwhelmed. So prove me wrong, guys, because not impressed.
Agreed. Right, so let's talk about the main event. Is it an oh shite? I honestly don't know how to feel, right? Because it was when I say is it an oh shite, the booking for the Rumble is definitely an oh shite. But did this kind of work? Because it wasn't like Adam Pearce straight up won. Like shenanigans ensued. And I know I don't normally like shenanigans, but Roman manipulated that situation. Quite blatantly, they put him on top of Shinsuke. You know what I mean? Like they made that happen so that Roman would have an easy time at the Rumble. Does it feel like that is something that Adam Pearce, being an authority figure, could easily back out of? Yeah, of course it does. So I don't know how they're going to do it story-wise to keep it going. But the actual match itself, like, it had some good spots. I don't know where they're going with certain things. Like Shinsuke should have won, so now he feels robbed, and that seemed like a bit of a face turn moment for him as well. So like, are they going to push him but not just yet? So that's what that was about. Is he going to feel affronted by the fact that he shouldn't have lost? I just don't know where they're going with it. Overall, the match wasn't bad, and it wasn't a straight up like Adam Pearce come out and give himself the win. So that kind of works anyway. But it's more the fact that why would we want this for the Royal Rumble? What are you thinking?
Why would we want it?
I don't want to knock this particular match too much, but yeah, it just what it leads to is just like what is this? The fuck have he done?
Yeah.
Someone put up a meme the other day that tickled me, and they showed the Goldberg versus Drew and Adam Pearce versus Roman, and they said like, "Oh, this is what happens when you play Universe mode." Or whatever on, and it is like just such a random set of fucking matches. Like
I am flabbergasted that this is what we're going into the Royal Rumble with as it stands.
Yeah,
because we've spoken at length about the Rumble being our favorite, or certainly one of our favorites anyway, pay-per-view of the year, and it's going to be headlined by. I mean, it might not even be Drew now that he's got COVID, but it's going to be headlined by Drew versus Goldberg and Roman Reigns versus Adam fucking Pearce. Then holy fucking shit, what is life? So yeah, I don't know, I don't get it. There's a massive roster of stars there. Why are we getting Adam Pearce against Roman Reigns, and why are we getting at the Rumble?
It's so weird,
shocking.
And again, it's one of them where you go, well, we know who's going to win, because if Roman doesn't win, that's just going to ruin him. So he has to win, or they're going to change it back to Kevin Owens or something. I don't know. But again, the main event wasn't a bad match. It's nice to have a variant. It was nice to have a gauntlet match for once. There was some good showings from people. All right, it did involve Rey Mysterio and it did involve Baron Corbin, all people who I could probably do without seeing so much of these days. But hey ho, it wasn't a bad match. And yeah, the end was a bit screwy and a bit weird. But I don't know if it necessarily deserves to be an oh shite on its own, but certainly the implications of the results make it an oh shite, definitely.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much all I need to say about SmackDown. And sort of. I was going to give it a 2 until I've talked about it, and I'm like, where's the 2? So I'm going to give it a 1.5 because there's not a lot of content there. Like, I didn't really enjoy any of the matches, and there wasn't the best promo work from anyone. I feel a bit mean because there was content. There was definitely wrestling. So I'll give it a 1.5 to be fair to it, but I'm a bit low to even give it. It wasn't as bad as Raw, but it's just weird.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a straight up 1. I think this is a very rare time in WWE where, there was 3 matches. It probably needed a bit more because it felt slow. And when obviously you've got the tag title change, which was appreciated, but you've got Big E versus Apollo, which neither of us were on board with. The Roman Reigns promo, as good as it was a bit meh, and it set up that weird thing with Adam Pearce in the first place. And then that was kind of it. So it was just kind of like a show that happened. You've got other stuff did it. So obviously Sonya Deville is now Adam Pearce's kind of second in command and stuff like that. So stuff happened, but
I didn't even mention that. That was just kind of random, to be honest. Yeah, it's a fair point.
So yeah, for me, a 1 is fair. Just bland show and terrible, crazy booking to have Adam Pearce against.
Indeed. What were you thinking? So that was This Week in Wrestling.
Monopoly Events presents For the Love of Wrestling, Europe's largest wrestling convention, back in Liverpool, the Exhibition Centre, between the 15th and 16th of May. Guests this year include Olympic gold medalist Kurt Angle, the Icon, the Showstopper, Mr. WrestleMania, Shawn Michaels, 3-time WWE champion, 3-time TNA champion. Things are about to get extreme with Jeff Hardy. 7 times Women's Champion, Diva of the Decade and Hall of Fame star Trish Stratus. Grand Slam winner and the Wrestling God, John Bradshaw Layfield. These and many, many more will be joining us in Liverpool. Find us on Facebook at For the Love of Wrestling. Visit our website, fortheloveofwrestling.co.uk. For tickets for entry and guests, visit ticketquarter.co.uk. That's ticketquarter.co.uk. For the Love of Wrestling, by the fans, for the fans.